This was so fun, I had to make a video on it. If you ever wondered what it would be like if Factorio and Cookie Clicker had a child, this game is for you. Let's go ahead and cover one thing. This is a demo and it's free on Steam. Zero cost to try out. I'm primarily covering this game because I really love Pocketpair as a company and think they have consistently tried to give the players what they want with their game. And I believe their philosophy that they outlined when they decided they were getting into publishing is worth supporting. So the goodwill Pocketpair built with me translated to me being willing to try this game from Karrot Games, which also impressively is just two people, Fang and Ra, out of Poland. I've tried a few other games Pocketpair is publishing that aren't Palworld and didn't like them enough to really make a video on them, so this isn't just me trying to glaze Pocketpair for no reason. This one actually checked off a couple boxes, those being Pocketpair, Incremental, and Clicker. Let's dive into what Clicky Islands actually is. You are a governor in charge of settling an island to honor your king. You are supposed to decide how to place down every structure and how to produce units in order to make money to try and build your way up to a kingdom. The clicker aspects are pretty obvious. You can click on any resource generating structure to help accelerate it a bit, depending on your upgrade level of course, but the incremental aspects take a second to really pop up. Just so you know, and to save your mouse some wear and tear, manually clicking isn't faster than just clicking once and holding it down, so no cookie clicker, auto clicker shenanigans can take place. You are not going to be able to build up to a max level colony on your first island, at least if you're sane. You just can't. You literally don't have access to all the resources you need, and the demo is limited, but we'll talk about that in a minute. I guess you, in theory, could spend an unholy amount of time just grinding out gold the slowest way possible, but I can't imagine what the time will end up being on that lowest percent speed run, because I'm sure someone out there will absolutely, when the full release comes out, max out their island on the first island just to show it could be done, but that will, in my estimates, probably be a several 100-hour playthrough. When you think you've maxed out the potential for what you can earn from your current island, because really, at its core, what you're doing is building a gold generating factory. You got to spend some to upgrade your resources and your stats, but at the end of the day, you're trying to focus on building gold as efficiently as possible. So when you think you have maxed out your current island's potential, you can choose to set sail. And this is where the incremental aspect really comes in, because you're completely leaving that other island behind. All the progress you made on it resets. You start out brand new on a new island. And for those that actually like this stuff, you get to name every island you go to, although there is an option that you can check to have it just auto-name all of them. Everything resets about your island except for what you buy on the screen that pops up as you travel from island to island. You have a giant talent tree that you spend reputation on to upgrade your baseline resource generation, and you earn reputation as you're constructing your island. As you spend reputation, you eventually unlock the ability to upgrade the next island tier. Each level that you can upgrade your island through has its own little section in this talent tree, and you have to spend so much reputation to unlock the next node. When you unlock that node, it will have stuff on it related to that next tier of the island. And the first things that you need to unlock on these next tier are the basic resources you need for the structures of that tier. This is what I mean when I say you can't progress, at least at a reasonable pace, without moving from one island to the next, because you have to actually upgrade that meta tree in order to actually get those resources to be able to use the next set of structures. So, what is the basic structure of a run on an island? You'll land and immediately start trying to produce more units in order to start loading cargo up on your ship and in order to actually have your auto production going. Your ship can only haul so much cargo at a time, but that's okay. You don't need it to haul much at first. What you're trying to do is earn enough gold to upgrade your colony level in order to gain access to more buildings and new resources and some of the sort of pseudo-incremental progress that's on the right-hand side of the screen. So you can upgrade things like clicking speed, worker speed, cargo, and in other words, how much gold you can make per ship run, and later on stuff like ship speed as well. This overall increases your efficiency in terms of generating gold and old resources. So you get better at getting your older resources, and you get more resources that you can do to build more complex structures that will sell for more gold per item and boost how much gold you're getting per trip of sending your ship out. So you can kind of see this basic gameplay loop taking shape. But what about the metagame? You have two things you'll hunt on every run: reputation generation via exploration of the island and completing things like challenges, as well as the artifacts that you'll get from exploring ruins. So, a side note here, exploring ruins just means clicking on them until they pop and you get the artifact out of them. Reputation is your meta currency you'll spend on the talent tree between islands. You get it for anything that progresses your island. Every time you uncover anything currently hidden by the fog of war, you get a bit of reputation. Every time you upgrade your colony, you gain reputation. If you complete challenges, which you can pick out between runs, you gain reputation. As for the artifacts, you're only going to find so many per run. At the beginning, you'll only be able to find one, but you can upgrade that. The game currently only lets you get about halfway through progressing your island, and thus the meta talent tree. You get this message when you upgrade to a village 2 the first time, but it's safe to say the general flow of a run is going to be as follows. First, ask yourself if you think you can build your way up to kingdom level or not. If not, you'll plan out the route that will complete your challenges as fast as possible and upgrade as many colony levels as quickly as possible so that you can stockpile a lot of fast reputation and build your meta progression. On one run, I actually had the challenge to drop a huge number of roads, so I played until I completed the second challenge that I had going along with it, and then I just started deleting structures off my island and dropping roads until I had built enough to actually complete that challenge. Once you've done all that you can on your current island to gain as much reputation as possible, you'll hit the point where you eventually feel like you can build up to having a kingdom. Then the goal will probably shift to becoming more about money-making efficiency rather than just completing your challenges. Because unless you want to spend several hours per run, which I don't think that this game's structured for it to be a multi-hour run each time, but we won't really know until the final release, gold efficiency will be the name of the game, and jumping from tier to tier to tier as quickly as possible. So this game's actually going to have some interesting speedrun stuff going on, both the lowest percent completion and the fastest run. It'll be really interesting to see how people will come up with the most optimal routes to complete this. So, clicker, incremental, and a dash of factory sim, because you are actually trying to plan out your structures. I can already see that carefully planning out road placement to maximize structure placements is going to be a key aspect of this game. So experience with factory sims like Factorio or Satisfactory will probably come in handy, but might not be as strictly necessary as it would be in a pure factory sim. However, if I hadn't actually pumped a decent little bit of time into Satisfactory, road placement probably wouldn't have been one of the first things that I would have considered with this. Overall, I had a lot of fun with the game. I'm looking forward to the full release, and as long as it comes in at a fair price, it'll be an easy purchase for me the very day it hits full release. If you want to check it out yourself, you absolutely should. Like I said, it's free, it's up on Steam now. The islands are procedurally generated based on which meta nodes you have unlocked, so your experience will be different from mine. So you absolutely should give it a go. Another thing that makes me want to encourage you to play it is they make it very clear they want to hear feedback about the game, including telling you where to go to share that feedback. So, if it looks appealing, this might be a chance to influence the development of a game in a way that you'll like. In the spirit of providing feedback, since that's what they want, instead of just doing a review like I normally would, I'm going to actually include a feedback section here. So, here are 3 things I'd like to see changed. The first thing I would like is some way to combine earlier structures into later upgrades you unlocked, at least when they're relevant to do so. You start out being able to make little huts that increase your ability to make units by 1. Later, you open a hut that adds 2 to the unit pool. It would be nice if you had the ability, for structures like this at least, to simply merge those 2 structures to make the +2, even if you still have to pay the cost, just to make replanning earlier areas a little bit easier. It doesn't seem to penalize you for deleting worker structures, it just sort of puts the number of workers in red, but it doesn't seem to stop them from working. It just shows that you're over your cap currently, so you'll have to build more structures until you can add new ones. This would just sort of streamline that process. Second, unless the islands get absolutely gigantic, I can see the need to go through and update other older buildings into newer structures as well, which can also require rerouting roads, which is the equivalent of tearing down your starter factory in Satisfactory and replanning it to flow better. Combining structures like I mentioned would help with this, but it would be nice if you could somehow preview a restructuring before you implement it, like blueprints in Satisfactory. So say some way to maybe lay out a farm and then find a place where you can actually drop it down and be able to just auto reroute or deconstruct anything where you're trying to drop it in at. You just need to know what you're doing so you don't end out getting halfway through rearrangement and run out of resources because of the third thing I'd like to see tweaked. When you deconstruct something, it would be nice if it refunded the material cost. I can see that they may be thinking that keeping the cost is sort of a risk-reward thing where you have to actually consider what you're going to be deconstructing because you're not going to be getting those funds back. But honestly, I think that's an unnecessary penalty, especially since this game is so heavily encouraging you to go through and reroute and reorganize early baseline structures. What this really can do is end out setting you up to where if you deconstruct a couple things, but you didn't take into account how your resources are currently being spent automatically, you might accidentally not end out with enough resources to restructure them elsewhere. So refunding those costs would be really nice. Every time you build a structure, its cost goes up a little bit at a time, and right now it does actually take that cost back down when you deconstruct it. It would just be nice if it also gave you those resources back as well. One thing I would also potentially like to see, and this is not sort of feedback on what's currently there, and it's something that I have no idea to know whether they're planning it or not, so this is just me spitballing an idea. It would be nice for there to be some sort of prestige system that makes the next full playthrough a little bit harder at the start, but it gives you some sort of permanent mega buff. Prestige runs and incrementals are a nice way of boosting replayability without needing to have the game fully retooled. So the meta tree is your progression from island to island, but if they really want to go the full incremental route, there needs to be some sort of prestiging system for getting all the way to the end of the game. Yet again, that may be something that they already have plans for. Who knows? We've only gotten halfway through a general bit of progression on this. But I can say from other incrementals that I've played, even though you can get halfway through in the demo, it wouldn't exactly be outside the length of a normal incremental if just that one full run is all you really have, and that successive playthroughs are just expecting you to want to try to figure out how to do it faster and more efficiently. Or where it's procedurally generated, you're basically getting a new run every single time. But yet again, it would be nice if there's an overall meta progression as well. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the Clicky Islands demo. I hope you enjoyed, and remember, if I can beat it, so can you.